So welcome to the participation verification session. This session is hosted by Flora Mora, the UHMC Registrar, and the UHMC Faculty Coordinator, Kulamanu Ishihara. Thanks, Kulamanu.
Hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. As we had presented last week, we have the participation verification, which used to be the no-show survey that used to come out to all of you through My Success. We now have a new process, which is the participation verification that's going to be hosted through My UH services. So I want to provide this session to just kind of walk everybody through a little bit more and provide a little bit more guidance for you folks. So I'm co-host with Flora, so jump in, Flora, at any time if you have any thoughts. And yeah, we'll be going through the slides together. Okay. Oh. Okay, so we wanted to just share with you, I know this is a lot of information, but basically our college has what we call part of term sessions. So it depends on the day that your class starts and finishes that it's categorized into a part of term. Majority of you should be within this part of term 1, which is what we call a full semester course. And so you would start on 1/11 today and it ends on 5/14. And so what we've done here in this slide is we've provided the part of term, the start date, end date, and then when your no-show box will open for you for your particular course. So like I was mentioning, part of term 1 is the 16-week full semester courses. They will, you will have the first opportunity to no-show students on January 20th, and you have 5 days to complete that task. So it's to mark students as no-shows and then to certify your courses. So we'll go through those steps, or certify the course, and we'll go through those steps a little bit more in detail. We will be reaching out to faculty to kind of remind you as the part of terms come up. In particular, we will highlight the faculty. There's just a couple of them that have different parts of term here, and letting them know that their survey is open. So that's the part of term. Anything to add, Flora?
There are, I think, yeah, majority is part of term 1. I think Dan is culinary.
Yes.
Is one that will have multiple terms. So I already prepared memos for those instructors who have multiple parts of term. So that will also be going out in our reminder notices.
Thank you. All right, moving on. So we just kind of wanted to highlight the faculty process. This was the link that was shared in last week's survey, in the PowerPoint that Laura had provided to everybody. This is available on the UH system, and these are this is kind of the process and how we're going to go about doing certifying your class. So basically, this is the overview. Instruction begins today. We have a late period. This is our late period of registration is this week. And then faculty will, for faculty that are in part of term 1, which is the full semester classes, on January 20th, you will be able to mark students as non-participating, and that will generate an X grade. And then the X grade will indicate for us to remove the student from your class roster, and they will be disenrolled. So that's kind of the process as an overview. So Maui College is only utilizing the MyUH grade roster function for this spring semester. I know last week we had gone back and forth on the Laulima, but we're not, there's only one class using the Laulima, and that's our 5-week. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. This semester, we're only using the MyUH grade roster. So you're going to go into the final grading, which is in MyUH services. And you would click on this link here. You're going to select the term and then the CRN from your drop down if you're teaching multiple classes. And so these are the screenshots of what it will look like the day that you go in. So you're going to submit certification. You're going to see the certification box here. And then you have your class roster for the semester. Please take note that it only shows you a certain amount of students. So you'll see in this example here, there are actually 2 pages worth of the roster. So there's 1 through 25, and then there's 26 through 27. So if you have a larger class, you will expect to see multiple pages here on this screen here. So what you're going to do is you're going to mark the student as a no-show on this side, and that will automatically trigger an X grade here in this field. Okay, so here's a little bit deeper shot of that. So we're marking no-shows on the right side, and then it automatically assigns an X grade. If you made a mistake that you don't want to highlight this student, then you're going to uncheck the no-show. That's how you get the X grade removed. You cannot actually enter into X grade, into the actual grade field. It's grayed out for you. Okay, and then, so this is the reminding you that in case you have a large class, to make sure you click the next page so that you see the rest of the students on your roster. And then you're going to hit the submit button after you've done students 26, 27, or the second page. And then you're going to submit the certification for your roster. That is certifying your class. And then this is going to be turned into Flora. Flora will generate a report for it, and then we would proceed with removing students. You do get a submission date once you've certified the course. And then this has to be done for every single CRN. Let's see. So yeah, so once the certification deadline hits, the X grades will still be visible on your roster, but the no-show boxes won't be displayed anymore because of that 5-day window. And then X grades do get removed because the students are administratively withdrawn from your class rosters. Okay, so I'm going to get back into this screen here, and we're going to go back. So do you want to cover this screen, Flora?
So this reinstatement process is just in case you mark a student as a no-show in error, or a student contacts you and says, I was present and I would like to stay and remain in your course. This is the procedure that you would need to follow to request to add the student back in the course. So one, you would have the student email you from their Hawaii EDU email address requesting to be reinstated in the course with the basic information on subject line for class reinstatement, the CRN, course number and name, the grading option, and the number of credits. You would then forward this email to us saying that you either approve or don't approve to the UHMC records email address at uhmcrec@hawaii.edu, and we will process the late add. Just so you know, in past years, the reason we're asking that you keep the request from the student requesting to be reinstated is we've had students sit in the course after you reinstate, and they didn't do so well or didn't drop the course on time, and they will come back and file an appeal and say, but I got a notification that I was dropped due to no-show. So that email that initiates the request to reinstate is very important to have on record. And that's pretty much. Anybody have any questions about adding? This kind of follows along the line of if you want to add a student and approve late registration. It's just we're changing the subject line so that we can identify students who've been reinstatement requests for a no-show. Anybody have any questions? The system will be coming out with a form, a reinstatement form, but they're still working on it. So in the meantime, we'll be using, our email way.
Flora, I do have a question.
Uh-huh.
It states that February 3rd is the deadline for those that are covered under FA funding, right? What about those that aren't? Is that the same deadline?
Well, the reason I put, you mean to be reinstated?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you mark a student as a no-show and they decided they want to be reinstated, if they're on financial aid, it's important for us to add them back into their course before that date, or else they won't be eligible for financial aid funding.
Right, but if the student is not
so
tied
it's only for to be eligible for financial aid, but other than that, there's no specific or hard deadline for us to add back. As long as you as the instructor approves the late add, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Flora, I have a quick question too. So if we disenroll them on the 20th, I guess that's the first day, of the 5-day period, and they respond like by the 25th, the last day, can we remove them from class ourselves without contacting you, since it's within that 5 days and it's before the end of the 5-day period?
So what I would do is, if you will remember to go in and don't certify until the last day, see, because as long as you don't hit that certify button, your window, you're still open to uncheck and check the boxes.
Okay, would the student would they be notified even though I don't check the certify box?
No, unlike Starfish in the past, once you click the box to flag them as a no-show, they would automatically receive a no-show. You've been noticed that you've been marked as a no-show by your instructor. That is not the case in this new system. So the only email they will receive is one that they've been dropped.
Okay, so it's maybe best to wait till the last day, as opposed to do it for early in the 5-day period in case you get contacted by them for some reason.
Well, if you're worried about forgetting to go back in and certify, if you want to certify as soon as you finalize your roster, you can just contact me and I can unclick the certification box and it'll be returned to you. I won't be dropping until each of the respective survey close dates happen. So,
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, because usually time becomes really important, especially on the final day. So is it noon? What is the?
I don't think they specified, so I'm thinking 11:59 p.m.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So, yes, please. So a no-show is basically if they, if we have a quiz or something and they're not, all my classes are completely online. So the only way that I know that I'm getting people responding is via a quiz, for example. So you're saying that by this due date, If the students don't have handed in their quiz, then I'm going to mark them as a no-show. Okay. All right. Thanks.
So just as a reminder, you know, students are continuing to register late, so they may not be in attendance or participating on the first day of class because they did, you know, maybe they perhaps it was a Monday, started on Monday, but they didn't really register until Wednesday. So those are the types of students you would want to be aware of to make sure that you, when you do submit your survey the following week, that you are careful checking to see when they actually registered for courses. Those are most likely what I've seen in the past.
Yeah, so I did put up on the screen what is the definition of participation. So physically attending, you know, we have few classes that they can actually physically attend, but submitting an academic assignment, taking an exam or a quiz, attending a study group, participating in online discussion, and initiating contact with a faculty member to ask questions about the course. So those are all examples of participation verification. And that's a good point, because that Flora had brought up about students still registering. We have a lot of registration activity happening this week. And self-service is open, I think, till next week, Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. So as long as your class hasn't been locked out, then students have the ability to add and drop classes free on STAR through next week, Tuesday.
So if I understand this right, students actually have two chances, because I'm just looking at the calendar, you know, so I have a class on Tuesday and one on Wednesday. So they actually have an opportunity to go to two classes or to miss one and come to the next one, and they're still counted. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I do want to make mention, this is initiated by financial aid. So what happens sometimes is if instructors miss this reporting period, will be at the end of the semester where you have to issue a non-passing grade, and in some cases the student never did show up for classes. In that case, financial aid will send out emails to instructors who issue non-passing grades, and you will be required to list the last date of participation or attendance for that student. So this is very important that we try our best to report students who do in fact not show up, because financial aid does have to do a return of Title IV or whatever kind of funding, and it's best we catch them up front rather than wait 2 or 3 months down the line, and now we're having to chase students for the money. So that's why this is very important.
I have a question. Hi, this is Julie. Thanks, Flora. Thanks, Kulamanu. The posting where it says presence does not include activities, where it, because you know we're online, right? Zoom, and it, even if the student is logged in and you see them, or maybe they hide their screen, without the teacher going in and asking each student a question or validating, how would you be able to determine that? Presence does not include activities. So even if they logged in, that's considered they attended, in other words.
No, they have to participate, not only logging in.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you can put that drop down on number 4, Kulamanu. So this is where the student would need to inform beforehand. But just logging in is not considered participation. They have to do some kind of activity. So even if you say, okay, so all those present today, send me an email, something that initiates some kind of contact with you to
Right.
know that they're present.
Okay, so and when we saying present during the course of the class, like if I called on them and they never respond to participate, because maybe I'm calling on them, maybe I'm asking questions around the class and then I call on them and then they don't respond, that would be a sign of them not participating, even if they're on. Okay.
Yeah, because you determine in your definition of who actually participated. It's at your discretion as an instructor.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think we are in a little bit of a weird Zoom environment, right? And we know there's families at home or things of that nature that distract them, right? So I mean, providing different types of maybe there could be a summative evaluation of the class today, or what they learned, something they learned today in the class, or you ask them a question, and then they respond via an email. I think that giving them different opportunities to participate in the class, because we are just in such a weird environment right now. It's
so I'm sorry, just to give an example. So say for example, I'm going to tell my students, because we're online, and that I'm going to call on them at random. And if they might have missed that opportunity and left, they need to send me a chat saying whatever, like they're going to disappear for a little while. So I know something. Would that be considered reasonable enough? And then maybe if I get the chat saying, okay, sorry, I have to go restroom or whatever, I'm back. I can then ask them, like it allows me to follow up with them. But I know it's hard because, we're trying to teach our lesson, and then to manage each student's attendance in a computer screen is, can be challenging.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think of that.
Yeah, I think, I think we're getting better and better at this Zoom thing, but I totally get the whole video thing too. But I was participating in another activity, and somebody had mentioned, like, put your another picture up or something along those lines. So just encouraging students to engage in different ways. If they cannot show their background, encourage them to do whatever these virtual backgrounds are. I mean, it takes a little bit of engagement with the student, but I totally, it's just hard because we're going into their homes, right? And it's sometimes it's really hard for them to balance that whole family home life.
So just on the side note, so if, for example, if I was to just make like an introductory quiz and have them answer like one or two questions, and then whoever responded, they would be considered as quote unquote showing up, and then people who did not respond would be the no-shows. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Kulamanu. What types of notifications will be going out to faculty? Like, will there be an announcement that the survey is open, and then will there be follow-up reminders to complete them?
Yeah, so I think Flora and I are committed to sending out a reminder survey to all of the part of term faculty that are outside of the 16-week, and then we'll do a general one for the 16-week faculty as well. We didn't talk about a closing date though. Is that a consensus that we would want a closing reminder too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to make sure we get it done, I think that that would be good.
Okay, so we can program an email for opening and closing of the different pots. Yeah, okay. We can do that.
Okay,
So
and
it'll
then
be a
one
general email. Mhm.
what happens for classes that the faculty or lecturer does not participate in the survey? Like, will they get an email afterwards saying you did not certify, please go in, or are we just letting it go? Like, what is the follow-up plan for those?
Oh, good question. And I don't have an answer for that. I don't think we've been directed by the system, but so I'm not sure how that will work. I would imagine that Laura or Kahele folks will get a notification of who's participated and who hasn't. This is a pilot going forward, so I don't know if spring they would necessarily do anything, or how that would work, but it is scheduled to go full implementation in fall with the Laulima option as well. So yeah.
But that's a good question, Kelly.
Yeah, we
I
can
would
bring that
think
up.
that because the system is rolling it out this semester,
Mhm.
I would be advised that all eyes will be on all campus instructors to see just how many people are not participating.
Mhm.
So I would highly, highly, highly recommend that. I know we've had this going more than other campuses. We are the only campus that has had a no-show reporting process for the last few years, and
Yeah.
some campuses are just starting this semester. So I'm hoping that, our participation has been pretty good.
Yeah, faculty
Throughout
do
the last
amazing.
years. Our faculty is, does well, but
Mm-hmm.
we just need to make sure that we're even better this semester, because admin and system level people will be looking, and they have access to reports. So
Thanks for the great questions. Any other questions before we?
I had one real quick question is, because students can enroll up until next week Tuesday, right? If they enroll on Monday or Tuesday, like how frequent does it pop into into Laulima? Because I've had it where a student didn't pop into my Laulima. I didn't know that student was in my class because of how it rolls, I guess.
Mhm.
And I just, what would you suggest?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I guess the first thing is this is utilizing Banner. So it's Banner information, Banner class rosters. We do know there's a discrepancy sometimes between Banner and Laulima rosters. So I guess my recommendation is just to keep watching your Banner roster, because then that's the official roster of the UH. So you want to make sure that you get assignments for that roster.
That's the faculty. Go on to the faculty, my UH faculty one. Okay.
Yeah, the My UH services one. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I noticed that I don't know if it's kind of weird this semester, but students have been telling me that they are not seeing their classes. So, we've been directing them to the My UH help desk to get their classes reloaded. So I don't know if that's
it needs rethinking sometimes, that because of the volume of students trying to register, it does get backlogged, I think, with the whole system. So you may need to request to have your account synced if you're not seeing students between Laulima and Banner, your My UH.
Or if Lorene has any ideas too.
Sometimes the students are not seeing their courses in the main navigation because they haven't added it to their favorites bar. So if they click sites, they can star the course and it will appear in their main navigation. Otherwise, it does seem like there are a few courses today that are not showing up for students, and I think there's just a delay in the system from getting it from Banner over to Laulima. So I would wait, and if it doesn't show up in a couple of hours, have the student contact UH Help Desk to
Yeah.
sync their accounts, as Flora mentioned. Thanks.
So just to mention on the part of term courses that are non-semester length, the window for students to add is not the same as the full semester. So students can only register via their STAR the first 2 days of the course. So if it starts today, they only have until tomorrow to add via their student account. If not, they have to follow the late registration instructions. So I'm gonna send out a new email, but it's same as last year because of our COVID and our non-in-person services here at admissions. Student sends you an email, you forward that email requesting that they be added late, that you approve to our email address that's listed on the PowerPoint.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
Hi, it's Lawrence. Will this help to eliminate the financial responsibility to IDAP? Marking a non-participating student, will it still hold through to the end of the semester?
Well, the IDAP, they have certain deadlines that you do need to opt out. So we need to make sure that if we do follow the reporting timelines for no-show, it should back out the IDAP charges. But it's those that we miss and we end up backing it out 1 or 2 months from now is when it starts to become, you know, a little more challenging, and we have to work with AJ. So if we do follow the survey reporting timelines, we should be okay to back out the IDAP charges for students reported as no-show.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And I do believe it aligns with the erase period, the IDAP.
So February 3rd.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions? No? All right, well, thank you guys for joining us. If you do have questions, you're welcome to email Flora or I. And mahalo, everybody.